It's another gorgeous day here in the village of somewhere in Ottawa. 6th day in a row even. We went dump picking on Friday and came across this beautiful throwaway. It's a rigid Model 4516 table saw, so we bought a blade and installed it, and Eureka, it works. So we're going to add it to the menagerie of tools that we've got. Periodically it helps to pause and reflect on what we've done so far. And so far what we've done is we have located holes for some T-nuts. Remember, we drilled a 1/8 inch pilot hole, followed it up with countersinking a bit with a Forstner bit, 1/8 of an inch, and then drilling a 3/8 inch hole. You may recall that at the end of our last episode we said that we were going to glue and some T-nuts into those holes. Well, upon reflection, that isn't the proper sequence that we should be following. What we should be doing is we should be drilling some holes in on this side for some wood screws. So let's get started on that aspect. We've set up a mock-up to show how the gussets are going to be fastened to the end pieces. We've got a chunk of 1.5 inch styrofoam. That's the thickness of the styrofoam we'll be using for the module deck. That's going to be about 4 feet long, and the styrofoam is going to be resting on 2 gussets. The 2 gussets are going to be fastened to the end piece here with some glue and screws. 3 screws in each end, 1.5 inches long. So now we need to locate where we're going to drill the holes in the end pieces so as to fasten the gussets at each end, so that we have a clearance of 1.5 inches from the top down to the top of the gusset. So what we're going to do is we could take our tape measure and we could measure in 5 inches from the end, and then take a T-square and set it up 1.5 inches. That's the thickness of our styrofoam, measuring down from the top of the gusset down 1.5 inches. And then we could take another T-square and account for the thickness of the gusset. The gusset's 3/4 of an inch plus 1.5 inches for the styrofoam. That would be 2.25 inches, and again measure down from the top. Make some marks here, and then draw in some lines like this, and then once we got the lines in, we then have to locate where the screws are. We've got 20 pieces, both ends. That's measuring things 40 times just to locate where the screw holes are going to go. Let's see if we can find an easier way to do things. So we've taken a piece of 2x4, roughly 12 inches long, and we've run it through our table saw so that we now have a block of wood that's 1.5 inches thick. And that happens to be the thickness of our styrofoam. Now if we take a flat piece of wood, we're going to use one of the end pieces, and we place our end piece top down, and we're looking at the outside. We then place our block of wood alongside that, and we draw a line. Is that what we've now got is we've now located where the bottom of the styrofoam is going to be, from here to here. Top down, we measure from the top 1.5 inches. Now if we can locate where the gusset is going to be, if we take a gusset, lay it on top of our block of wood, draw a line. We don't have to be accurate. We've now located where our gusset is going to be. Styrofoam is going to be from here to here. Gusset is going to be in here. So the next thing to do is to locate where the screw holes are going to be. So if we take a gusset and we measure out 3/4 of an inch, 2 1/4 inches, and 3 3/4 inches, you say, why those distances? Well, through trial and error, that's where we've determined the best location for the screws to be. Screws are going to go in here, here, and here. We're going to mark the other side too. 3/4 of an inch, 2 1/4 inches, 3 3/4 inches. So now all we need to do is to transfer those marks onto the end piece. Now we don't have to be accurate, just as long as we're in the general area. So what we're now going to do is to locate the exact location of those screw holes. We're going to split the difference between here and here visually. We don't need to measure it. And there we have the location of our screw holes. That's at one end. So now we have to do the same thing at the other end. Again, top down. Place our block of wood alongside. Draw a line. Place the gusset on top. Mark the line. Take our gusset where we've marked the location of the screw holes. Transfer to the end piece. Split the difference between the two lines. And we now have the location of our screw holes. And again, we don't have to be accurate, just as long as we're reasonably close. Let's do another piece. Again, we're looking out, top down, in other words, bottom is up. Take the block of wood, place it alongside, draw a line, place the gusset on top, draw another line, take the end piece, transfer our screw holes to the end piece, split the difference. That end's done. Do the same thing at the other end. Place our block alongside, draw a line, gusset on top, draw another line, and transfer the screw holes. 3/4 of an inch, 2 1/4 inches, 3 3/4 inches. Split the difference, and on to the next piece. Make sure that we are looking out. We're going to drill the screw holes from the outside. And as I said before, we don't have to be right on, just reasonably accurate. One end done. Block alongside, draw the line, gusset on top, draw the line, and transfer the screw holes. Make sure that we're measuring from the end of the end piece. Split the difference. 3 done, 17 more to go. So we're progressing along nicely here. We're about halfway through our stack. And again, make sure that you're measuring from the end of another video. First things first. Now you'll notice that we've got the hole for the carry plate T-nut here, and that's right in the middle of where our gusset is going to be. But this doesn't present any problem to us because we're going to use a bolt, a 5/16 inch bolt that will pull even with the edge of our gusset. It will take into account the thickness of the end piece, plus we're going to have a washer in between the module and the carry plate, and so things will work out okay. Plus we've got a way to take care of any extra length of any bolt into account when we finish the module. So we finished marking the location of our screw holes in all 20 end pieces, 3 screw holes on each side for a total of 6 screws on each end piece. Multiply that by 20 end pieces. That's 120 screw holes that we now have to drill. But before we do that, we're going to check and make sure that we have got the screw hole locations in the right place. Remember that we are measuring 1.5 inches down from the top. So let's set our T-square here at 1.5 inches, and we'll check both sides. 1.5 inches, we're good. 1.5 inches, we're good on that one. And check this one and this one, and we're good. And that. And that, and this, and this. So let's set up our drill press so that we can drill some screw holes, 120 of them. So we've got our drill press set up. We've installed a number 6 wood screw drill bit with a countersink, and that will make some nice holes that we can screw in a number 6 by 1.5 inch Robertson flathead screw, and the countersink will make sure that we don't end up splitting the wood when we drive the screw into the end piece. So let's get started. Just do the first one. Make sure that we countersink to where we should be countersinking. Now that we've located all those screw holes, the job is relatively easy to drill the screw holes. There's the first 6 screw holes out of 120, and 114, 113, drilling the last of our holes here, and we now have to check and make sure that we've drilled every hole that we're supposed to. So we've got 3 holes at this end, 3 holes at this end, and that looks good. Check the next one. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3. Whoops, missed one. idea to check. The last thing you want to be doing is having to scramble to drill holes when you got a mess of glue on a gusset and you're trying to screw things together. On with the next step.